Coming up next on The Health Hustle.
We are creative beings by nature, and if you don't try, the answer is always no. You're always going to fail. I'll give you an example. I want to be able to exercise all sorts of creativities. I want to not only draw my tats on myself, I want to do it for other people. Why? Because I just feel like doing it. I want to learn how to play chess, and then I might not be a grandmaster, but I want to go and whoop some ass. I want to get good at basketball. Like 3-4 months ago, I picked up Muay Thai. I've been going 5 days a week, since then. But the whole thing is figuring out, trying different things to figure out what you like and don't like, because we're supposed to have those experiences. If you don't try it, if you're stuck in the matrix and you're doing the same shit and you have the same schedule for 20 years, there's no growth. And if you're not growing, you're dying. My philosophy is try it, you either love it or you hate it, and then you never have to do it again. But at least you tried it. You know what I'm saying? And then what I also add a little bit more on top of that is try it again a few years later. Try it again. People try it once, like, I did that 20 years ago. Try it again. See if you like it again. I'll give you an example. I went snowboarding. First time I did it, I hated it. So I did it again 2 years later. I still hated it. But I tried it because it was cool. Yeah. And I was like, I want to push my body to the limit.
Hey folks, and welcome to the Health Hustle of Austin, Texas. On this show, we uncover the big ideas from your fellow health and fitness entrepreneurs in the Austin, Texas area about how they built their business and the lessons they learned along the way. Hey y'all, Corey here, and on this episode, I had a chance to sit down with my guy, Ali Haseeb. Ali Haseeb is a speaker, author, creative, and serial entrepreneur. His 8-figure design and development agency has won him multiple awards and has been the foundation for all of his personal success. Ali has made it his mission to create a very powerful brand that embodies his personal mission statement to unlock the best version of himself while creating impact and income and teaching others how to do the same. Some of the things that we get into on this episode are how he built such a diverse skill set, the game of entrepreneurship, which I love that expression, mentorship mistakes, that was a huge learning lesson for him, the healthcare racket, which I can totally resonate with because I worked in healthcare for 4 to 5 years, getting scammed by a partner, skill stacking, the 4 P's of principles, which is why it's tattooed on his neck, overcoming fear, learning how to learn, playing the long game, and so much more. One last thing, if you're a health or fitness professional and you're having difficulties getting leads, I have a free 7-step process that walks you through how to convert your social media following into paying clients. You can find the link in the description of this episode. Without further ado, let's go. Ali Haseeb, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Really good. I have been excited about this conversation because I know that you have a very diverse background of so many different industries. You're probably one of the most diverse entrepreneurs that I've had on the show by far in terms of like the number of things that you dabble in, from even before we were recording, talking about ATM machines and crypto and healthcare and apps and everything, marketing and everything between.
Yes, sir.
And so I think a good starting point for this conversation is really just kind of that entry point into entrepreneurship is like, what was the very first endeavor that even opened your eyes to starting your own business?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, Corey. That's a really good question to start. Have you ever read the book, The One Thing?
Yes.
So I agree with what he's saying, but I do not abide by it at all. Because I feel like what you said is you hit the nail on the head. Like a well-rounded person. I want to be able to exercise all my qualities, all my passions, all my hobbies, try things, not be good at them, and then try certain things and be really good at them and kind of discover and unlock what I really want to do. So that's why I've been involved in so many different industries. Obviously, it boils down to marketing, system operations, creating vehicles that create income, but it's all exercising my creative ability. So like tattoos, art, that's one form of expression. Fashion, form of expression. What I listen to in my music, what I consume in my brain, podcasts, videos, audiobooks, whatever. But then that translates over to, what things that I'm interested in that allow me to generate income. So trading, Forex, crypto, stocks. No, I'm not a trader. I don't sit and day trade. I don't scalp trade. But I want to know what's going on. I want to have that skill set that regardless of a bullish economy or bearish economy, I can make money. Crypto, NFTs. It's not just a trend. There's an application for the technology. So we got really good at learning the application of technology, put together a team, learn, Web3, learn Solidity, put it all together, launch an NFT project that our mission never changed. Our project was called the GOAT Society. So the greatest of all time, teaching people how to be great no matter what we do, so it's whether it's NFTs or whether it's helping people generate passive income, whether it's, my book, whether it's personal development, even like I said, not a fitness influencer, but a healthy lifestyle advocate. Just trying to be the best version of ourselves in all aspects.
Do you feel like there's some overlap between all of those different industries that like these are pivotal things within each one that you've seen bring the most fruition to what you're doing with business?
Yeah, overarching answer to that is it's entrepreneurship. It's the game of entrepreneurship. The better you get, the more value you bring to the marketplace, the more money you make. It's the laptop lifestyle. We can travel. We can do different things. You can have no one stopping you. When you have a job, you can have one job, two jobs. Maybe if you're lucky, you can have three jobs. But it's limited, right? You max out at one point. So with that being said, when it comes to entrepreneurship or streams of income, there's no limit. You can have 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, really, there's no limit. So that's the overarching answer. But the things that kind of play a part in all of these ventures is the ability to learn, your ability to focus, discipline, building the right team, and then optimizing what you have. And if you can do this time and time again, no matter what industry or venture you're in, you can make money. You can build a solid group of individuals. You can have a mastermind group. You can build, residuals. You can scale. So, I mean, we can get deeper into that, but there is definitely a common theme in all of them. If you do right, you can make money. You can win as a person.
Well, I love the analogy of the game. I've said it a number of times on the show. Is just like that aspect of having the mentality around the fact that it is a game, and not only a game, but the infinite game is what it's often described as. Is that realizing that there's really no end to it, which actually makes it fun in a lot of ways. Is that like regardless of the endeavor that you're diving into, knowing that I always come at it with the idea of I learned this from Alex Hormozy of you can't quit if you don't lose, or you can't lose if you don't quit.
Right.
And I think about that all the time, is that now you're playing the game of just like, how can I outlast my competitors? And I've heard you mention on another show as well, a book that you talked about, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, which by far is one of my favorite books of all time. It's probably one of the most life-changing books that I've read, just because the timing of it, I think, was so perfect. But in regards to the game of entrepreneurship, like, what are the things that you like about the game, and what are the things you don't like about the game of entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. Well, everyone thinks they're good at the game, right? But they may or may not be. And some people think they got it all figured out, when that's not the case, because you're in a constant state of learning. So the game is always evolving, so you must always evolve. You got to be able to, differentiate the goods and the bads. I mean, it's cyclical, right? It goes up sometimes, it goes down sometimes, and you got to learn the lessons. And there's a lot of good parts about it. There's a lot of bad parts about it. One thing is not easy, so you just got to get good at playing it, and that good might always shift. It's going to change from venture to venture, from team to team, from the time in your life. Like you said, you read a book, and at that point, it really, shifted your paradigm. But if you read it at a different point in your life, it might not have impacted you the same.
Totally. I think about that all the time. I've found that books are less important of the actual book themselves, and I've found that it's more important the timing of when you read the book, of hearing the right words at the right moment that you need to hear. Because there's a plethora of information out there that you can consume, but it's really about getting the right advice in the right moment. That's, I think, is the most important. And to pull back on your lesson learning a little bit here, I want to come back to the fact of you probably have a lot of lessons learned from the healthcare consulting that you were doing in that business that you kind of started within there. Can we pull back to kind of that story and what you learned out of that experience?
Absolutely. I think the first biggest lesson was, surround yourself with the right people and mentor. Because initially, the mentor, the CEO of my company, he was very flashy. He was very kind of out there, but it was cool. It's a cool lifestyle. Think like Wolf of Wall Street style. Imagine, when you're a young kid and you see that lifestyle, you're like, yes, that's what I want. That's what it's about, right? $50,000 watches, $5,000 suits, 6 cars, 2 mansions, private jet, like that kind of stuff.
Midget bowling.
Yeah, midget bowling, exactly. Right, the out there stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're going for longevity, that's just a short-term pleasure. That's not your end goal, right? That's just the means to an end. But one of the biggest lessons I learned is you have to have the right mentor and the team next to you. So everyone, it's funny because it was a healthcare industry, so they're promoting good health, and they're promoting obviously hospitals and freestanding emergency rooms and urgent care. So everyone's talking about being healthy. No one was healthy.
Totally.
No one was healthy. Everyone did a lot of drugs. Everyone stayed up late, partied, got to work at 6 a.m. Like it was pretty rough, right? And on that note, the CEO wasn't a people person. Like he had money. He threw money at problems to solve the problems, but no one really enjoyed being at work. Honestly, in my opinion, besides me, because I was the youngest person in the company, I was like, Let me show up every day, show out. Let me go really hard, be very valuable. So, and then 2 years later, we built me and two other people, with me leading the project, we built a software that he used to generate $50 million in business. And he promised me a 6-figure salary. He got me random stuff. He got me a car. He got me a phone and, Ubers and random shit. Like, he just paid for shit, know? But he wouldn't give me the actual salary. I wanted to hit the 6-figure mark. It was driving me crazy because he said he would. It was a principles thing. It was so, and my dumb ass didn't get it on paper. So it was verbals. I got you. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
so
you trusted him.
I trusted him, right? Sure. I looked up to him. That's the thing. And so the first lesson I learned was, yes, word of mouth, handshake, everything's cool, but get it written down so both sides can hold each other accountable. Hey, you said you're going to do this, and this is what you get in return. And I said I'm going to do this. If one of us, doesn't meet this requirement, we can, have a discussion about it, like, hey, how can I help you hit this goal? We didn't do that. It was more like, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing. It was like kind of, brushing it on the carpet. I got you here. Like, and when I was a little younger, new phone. All right, cool. I'm blinded for 2 months until I remembered. Oh, yo, you know what? He said he's going to give me that paycheck. Hey, is it going to happen this paycheck? Is it going to happen this paycheck? No. Here's the best insurance. Well, yeah, no shit. They're in the healthcare industry. They're able to give me the best insurance. Hey, insurance for your family. Cool. Great. That's awesome. But where's the salary that you discussed, the one you talked about? So, and then obviously with the mentorship, having the right people as, your team. So if everyone's miserable, if everyone's talking shit about each other, everyone hates the boss, no one agrees with him, everyone's kind of miserable to go to work, what do you think is going to happen? The law of averages states that you're going to be that sixth person. So if you're around 5 miserable people, you're going to be the sixth one. And so eventually that happened, where I found myself like kind of complaining about work. In my family's eyes, it was a corporate job. I was in healthcare, and I'm telling doctors what to do, blah, 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 whatever, right? But as time went on, I found myself like waiting for the weekend. I'm waiting to go out with my friends. Yeah, are they going to send me to the city? Cool, I'll go to the city, but where can I go out in that city? What can I do to kind of escape from the job? Because it's not easy. It was 12-hour shifts because it's the healthcare industry, so you're working that matrix schedule like a nurse or a doctor. Mm-hmm. So like 7 to 7, I'm over here, helping them input their information into an EMR software, So it got tough. And then that's the first lesson, get everything on paper, surround yourself with the right team. Those are the first few lessons. And then the last one before I left that spot was, you're always limited. You're always capped when you're working for somebody else. You're never capped when you're working for yourself. So there's a quote, I think The Rock says it or something. They're like, don't work 40 hours and go home and not work on your own shit, right? Because you're not tired, you're uninspired. That stuck to me because like I remember him. When I came on the team, he had 4 facilities. When I left, he had 14.
Damn.
Yeah.
And he bought your loyalty essentially with gifts, is what it sounds like.
That's exactly what he did.
And he continued to buy your loyalty, knowing that he was like really getting the bigger prize at the end of this.
Correct.
rainbow.
Well, obviously, I wasn't in the numbers meetings and stuff like that.
Right.
But when you see him, we're acquiring a location. Ali, go help set it up. All right, cool. That's cool. Oh shit, these guys got a nice location. Look at their office. Look at their office. And then I'm like, all right, you know what? My time will come. No worries. No, And it was crazy because the way I left was kind of funny. I was so mad at one point that I sent an angry letter to the entire company with him CC'd in it, or to him CCing everybody else, like 40 people. And I'm like, you're not a man of your word, this and that. Because long story short, a lot of stuff happened back and forth. He got a little disrespectful, and I got a little disrespectful. And then it was just tiring because I'm like, and that leads me to how I started my business, how I met Sean, my business partner, and how I got my first investment. Because, Sean's dad saw us working 12 hours a day, and then coming home and trying to work on our own shit. Because I started the marketing agency alongside while I was there,
I don't normally ask this question on the show, but do you hold on to that at all? Or do you?
I did for a long time, but as I learned to heal and let go, I learned that it was a valuable, that was supposed to happen. So I can learn it that way. Otherwise I wouldn't have learned it.
Have you talked to him since?
I have not talked. The day I quit, I've never talked to him since. I've talked to everybody else in the company besides him. He never hit me up, and I never hit him up.
That's crazy. That's a crazy story, man.
Yeah.
And speaking of healthcare, I worked in healthcare for a number of years as a big part of my history. And yeah, there's nothing healthy about healthcare. I've been there.
Bro, it's crazy. Actually, the video I just posted today, it was a lesson from that experience. That was like 7 years ago, right? He was always like, take care of the patients. It's funny, I literally just posted. He goes, take care of the patients. That's all he was worried about. Take care of the patients. And he kept billing the patients like super crazy bills. You ever heard, you heard the jokes and people kind of, they meme about it, right? It's like when you go to the hospital, the Band-Aid is like $50, right? And $20,000, $50,000 bill.
I've seen it. I worked in it.
So you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was. And it was all commercial insurances, so you can rack it up. Each patient's worth 8 to 10 grand.
Yep.
You see 30 patients in the month, you do the math.
Yep.
Times 14 facilities.
That's a massive reason I got out of it, man. I
too.
worked with a hand surgeon. So I used to work in outpatient orthopedics, and this hand surgeon, not exaggerating, was seeing about 70 to 80 patients a day, purely because like just because like, and these were consultations, not like actual surgery, but still like lined them up essentially, right? So you could just like knock them out, because like a big part of the game, and it's not even at the fault of even like practitioners or surgeons or people in the game, which is super unfortunate, because like they get into healthcare generally, like you said, because they value health, they want to help people, they want to make a difference, and then they get jammed into the system where the only metrics that matters in healthcare, which is all driven by insurance, is how can we make more money this quarter? And that's purely driven by like exactly that, of seeing more patients or like charging $50 for a Band-Aid or whatever the case might be. And it's super unfortunate.
When I learned about medical billing and coding, I was mind blown.
Yeah,
I was like, it's a whole position created so they don't know what's on the bill.
It's a racket.
Exactly.
It's a total racket.
And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of lessons. There's many lessons. I was like, hey, this is what a leader should be, but this is what not to do. This leader has a couple good qualities, but several bad qualities that I can learn from. So that's what it was. But I do want to say he was a genius businessman. He was terrible with people. Terrible with people. You know, he had like the God complex or whatever. Just, I'm a doctor. I have 2 doctorates and I'm a businessman, multimillionaire. I'm just going to solve everything with money. But not to talk shit or anything like that. But he was very smart at what he did. So this is something I learned from him. So on the flip side, he had 2 doctorates. So he was an oncologist and a hematologist. I don't want people to go Google in Houston, right? So he had 2 different, very, very deep medical backgrounds, right? And so what he did was he started getting into real estate. He bought real estate all internationally. So he would create the shell of the business, which is the actual building. And he would set it up to be a urgent care or a freestanding emergency room. Then he would start a management company, multiple, for each location had one, that managed the ER. So now you're getting 2 businesses. You get the shell with the build out with your 16 slice CT machines and all the radiology equipment and the nurses, corner and all this kind of stuff, right? Triage area, front desk. Build out is beautiful. So you can go and sell that, but he wouldn't. He would manage it himself. So he put together a management team with billing, operations, marketing, this and that. That's kind of where I came in, right? And then he would create a medical supplies company to supply his own ERs. And then he would create a staffing company to staff his own ERs, right? And then he would charge a consulting fee on top of that. And then my arm was the last piece when I built the software. So he had like 7 streams of income in one line of work, which was incredible to see. And I still use that tactic to this day. I'll create multiple ventures. Like I'll give you an example in a second, but from one venture, how many different streams of revenue can we make? So that was a good on that part. I definitely learned from him. So I learned good and bad.
Well, it's good that you can take that away from that. And I do want to tap into your marketing genius at some point, because like I know that's a big part of what you do, and which is a big reason why even we got connected and I wanted to bring you on, because like that's my whole world. I love that shit. But before we do though, so then exiting that company, where did you go to next? Like what was your next venture then, realizing like, okay, obviously I don't want to work for somebody else and get taken advantage of. I want to do my own thing. What did that look like?
What ended up happening was I was starting a business with 2 other partners while I was at the corporate job. But 8 months later, I got scammed by those people. So I went back to corporate America for about 10 months. And then that point, I just had to, because I had bills, I had a car payment, I'm taking care of my family, like doing a bunch of stuff, right? Because I can always get a job there. I had a really good resume, right? I did like 10 different jobs for this guy, right? 10 different roles. I was wearing multiple hats. I was marketing, operations, front end, back end software. Like I learned everything. That's, one of the skill sets I was really good at learning. So when I started this company, I got scammed by those people. So the 2 ventures that I had, one was corporate America, one was my first venture, did not work out well, which led to the name Principles, because both people I worked with didn't have principles. So, but long story short, The second time I was in corporate America, I went back to a healthcare job. It was a completely different, provider. And I was like, yo, this is what I can do. And they're like, hey, hop on. And I let them know. I was like, yo, I can really change the game for you, but I'm not here for long term. Just I need to eat, And so he's like, I respect that. And so it's supposed to be 3 months. I stayed till, but I think it was like 10 months I stayed. And then we left on good terms. Like, hey, I'm going to quit. And that point I made a commitment to myself, promise to the universe. I was like, I'm never going back to work with somebody again. And then that's when Principles came in. We started this marketing agency. Our first industry and first niche was healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
And then we kind of ventured off and started doing real estate, started doing coaches and consultants and entrepreneurs. And then we got into automation, and then we got into the financial markets, the crypto, the stocks, the Forex traders, and then we kind of just expanded. So we got good at marketing systems, really, really good at putting together teams. So graphic designers, editors, content creators, copywriters, Then we went to apps, built a couple. It was an agency. So whatever, we had a big arsenal. So whenever we got some business, we vetted it. This is fit what we need to do. Packages were between $1,000 and $10,000. When a 40K app deal came through, we're like, great, we're taking it. We don't know how, but we're going to figure it out.
Damn. I want to pull on that thread of Principles. I have kind of two questions about it.
Yes.
One, why is it so meaningful to you? Obviously, you kind of gave us a taste of it in terms of like working with people that didn't have principles. So I want to really know what that means from you. And my second part to that question, and you can answer these in either order, is have you read Principles by Ray Dalio?
Of course.
Okay. Do you feel like that was a good book on the topic of Principles?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The second portion of Principles of Life, like that was definitely, and I still follow Ray Dalio to this day. So
yeah.
I hope he sees it. Both principles. Now
let's connect. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the first question, then give us the context behind that.
What Principles really means to me, man, it's a code. It's a code of ethics. It's like what you build your life on, not just business, but what are your principles in your family? What are your principles, communicating with friends? What are your principles? How you take care of your body? What are your principles? How do you balance work and play? What are your principles when it comes to what you will do and what you won't do? I'll give you an example. It stuck to us so much. There was times where clients were paying us $20K a month, but then we found out their principles didn't align with ours, so we had to cut them off. No matter how much we needed the money, just became a code of honor. And crazy thing is, it became a brand. So we started launching, and this was for fun. We started launching clothes, backpacks, like my backpacks principles, my gym bag. We had 20 people with the word principles or the logo tattooed on them, whether it was our clients, our friends, our employees. So it became like a lifestyle, And so it wasn't just a marketing agency. I mean, we have plans to launch a clothing line because we've done 7 or 8 drops, and just between the friends, they sold out in like a minute.
Damn.
Yeah, and people are just like, oh, I need the hoodie, I need the hat, I need the windbreaker, I need the shorts, I need the whatever side bags, whatever we did, and we just did it for ourselves because we like fashion, we like dressing nice, we like incorporating street design and entrepreneurship, and so. Anytime we created merch, I mean, I saw people wearing it all over the place. Like all my homies would rep it. But one time we went out with a friend group to dinner. It's like 20 people in Principles gear.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It became more of a lifestyle.
Totally.
And even though people may or may not work with us when it comes to the business aspect, they love what Principles stands for. Hey, do good business with good people in a certain way that creates longevity. We're not here for short-term partnerships. If I can't, we say, through business, we build brotherhood. So if we can't work together, if we can't eat together, if we can't work out together, we won't do business with you because you don't have we don't have the same principles. You have your own set of principles, which is cool. We're not judging or not. No one's better than the other. It just doesn't coincide with ours.
I like that. So what would your principles be? I feel like another word that we could be using would be values. It seems like you're totally like only working with and partnering with people that share similar values and lifestyles. What are like the things about you and your company and your business or even your personal life?
We have the 4 P's of principles. So we have, a foundation set. So it's passion, purpose, positivity, and partnerships. And the reason we say that in no specific order, right? But whenever you have a purpose, not just in a business setting, for sure. Hey, I want to launch this product or service. What's your purpose? Why? Why do you want to do that? Well, I want to share my knowledge with the world. Okay. And then I want to make money. and then I want to create a community that everyone can be network with each other. Cool, that's your purpose. Well, do you have passion doing it? Are you just selling it because you know it can make money, or do you really live and breathe and die by it? Which a lot of clients, and in marketing, you can sell something, you can make bank, but you don't believe in it. Like, I wouldn't, like, just random example, but I have people, I had an insurance client with 65 agents. We did all their landing pages, did all this stuff. It was the most every meeting I hated because I didn't want to talk about it. I don't care about it. So I'm not passionate about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So as a marketer, you got to be passionate about what you sell. And then we got positivity, that no matter what happens, good or bad, have that positive mindset. Even if there's a problem, even if you screw up, take accountability. I'm sorry. Let's fix it. Let's get it and go back to being positive, because that positive energy is contagious. And then last one's partnerships. You can't do shit alone. You got to have the right people, the right partners. And if you do it, you can go to the moon.
I love that, man. That's super cool. I can relate and resonate with a lot of that. I talk a lot about it in the concept of that you're not for everybody, and that's okay. And I think a lot of people, they struggle with that, is that they want to be the savant that helps everybody and serves everybody.
We were those people.
Yeah.
We've been there. We were like, hey, let's take everybody and everybody. Again, like a lot of times, I think Richard Branson said is like, if you don't know it, just say yes and figure it out as we go. We were those people.
And I think there's a phase for that. I think that that's okay in a certain stage, but at some point there is a degree of burnout that'll happen.
There was a burnout
Totally,
for sure.
Totally. Yeah. It's also knowing like where you're at, right? Like getting the right advice in the right moment. Cause I think for a lot of people, if you're just starting out, yes, I would say that's good advice. Like, say yes, figure it out. But at some point you're saying yes to so many things that now quality drops, your passion for it drops, your relationships drop, like everything starts to drop at a certain point, and now you have to like redefine what it actually means to say yes to something.
Well said.
Yeah. So let's continue this journey then. So principles is obviously a core pillar of what you decided to do when you decided to leave, start your own thing, and now you've like branched off into all these other ventures. What are some of like the stepping stones into branching into these other things that you're doing now?
So the first one's what you just talked about. Try everything and figure out what's for you and what's not for you. As an entrepreneur, I think in the beginning, you have to wear multiple hats. When you're a one-man team, you're going to be doing marketing and operations and fulfillment and the sales and, all that. But eventually, as you scale, so two things I want to mention. One thing is I got really good at building systems. So I launched a course called the VA Formula, teaching people how to use virtual assistants in their business. And the first month we did really well. And it was just because I was providing a solution. Yes, I wanted to make money from it. The course was $1,000, but then everyone was being helped. They're like, this is crazy. I didn't know I can have foreign employees that are, up to standard, and they're, if not better than, what we can hire here. I was like, it's all about how you train them. Who do you find? How you train them? How do you tie them into your vision? How do you take care of them? How do you incentivize it? They're not just VAs. We didn't call our VAs. We call them, they're our team members. There's a role for everybody, and we made 8 figures with virtual assistants. Not many people can say that.
Damn,
you know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So that happened. And then, we got really good at putting together teams in general, not just virtual assistants, but all over the world. There's talent all over. We're all virtual, right? We met virtually. So I don't really like the term virtual assistant, because everyone, after COVID, we found out that everyone can be virtual, right?
Yeah, laptop life. You said it.
Exactly. Laptop lifestyle. Exactly. People have been doing this, right? So you gotta be able to find what works for you and then eliminate what doesn't work. And then from there, the second piece of that puzzle is finding the right team. So people with the same principles and core values as you may or may not have the same skill sets. Sometimes it's good to have similar skill sets, but sometimes it's good to have opposite skill sets, because if we're both good at marketing, but no one's good at operations, then we're probably going to suffer, as opposed to if I'm good at one thing, you're good at one thing, now we have a match made in heaven. So find that team. And again, I think in digital entrepreneurship, people get caught up in the flash, and they get, they want to make short-term money. So they partner with people they may or may not like, and that leads to them making money, but there's no longevity. So let's just say you cranked out a project, sold an info product for 6 months, but then you really hate that person, you really dislike them, or they're known as a scammer or whatever. And then what happens then? It's like, all right, well, now you're back to square one. Yeah, you made some money, but now you have no team again. So the shift that happened for that is now I'm building a team where it's like, you're good at this thing, you're good at this thing, you're good at this thing. Let's all put this thing together. And now we have a solution that we can go sell for X amount, and then it's pay per performance. So it's not an agency model. So I don't want 5K anymore. I want 50% of your revenue or your profit, because I'm going to provide X, Y, Z. And then To the client, you have no risk because you're not paying anything up front. So it's like, obviously you have to have the foot in the door. You have to build a good track record and stuff like that. So to answer your question, learn what you're good at, what you're not good at, try everything until you find what works and eliminate what doesn't work. Build a solid team. And then after that, it's just discipline and focus. You know what I'm saying? Just go all in. You see a lot of people trying, like, I don't know if, I'm sure you've experienced this, but you see that person for 6 months, they're in one industry, and 6 months later they're in a different industry. And then I'm like, what are you selling? Like, what are you doing? Are you just trend hopping, as opposed to someone who sticks to one thing for a long time? But I'm not saying they're in one industry, but they just got good at one piece of it, and then they can implement that across the board. Like marketing. Marketing, no matter what industry, the foundational pieces of marketing don't change, but you just got to tweak it based on the industry you're in. So get good at marketing, or get good at copywriting, or graphic design, or video editing, or sales, and then go and take it somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, totally agree. That's what I love about the marketing world in general, and why I fell so in love with it, is like, you nailed it. I think a lot about how when you get really good at a certain subset or a certain skill set of something, you now earn the right to be able to dabble into other industries. Like, take, for example, marketing or sales or copywriting or whatever it is like, once you kind of master that skill set, you now earn the right to kind of diversify your things and start talking about other things, because you're really good at this one thing. Most people just kind of like subpar do everything, and they never really earn the right to get into other industries or other endeavors. So I love that.
Which again, that's a good approach until you need to specify and go deep. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. Like, let's just say you're in sales. You're a high ticket closer, right? You're really good on the phones. But then you also got to get good at using CRMs, so you can make your calling and your streamlining of your calling is very efficient. Your follow-up game could be, streamlined, because now you're using a CRM to kind of help you automate, send follow-up reminders. Then you might have to get good at, email marketing, so you can take the sales skills and your CRM skills and market through email. Then you might get good at content, because now you can funnel everybody through your whatever product you're selling. So you start with an umbrella skill set, and then you trickle down. And that's kind of what me and my team got good at. We were able to pick up on tools and software, even like CRMs. There's 20 CRMs you can use. There's 50 CRMs you can use. Get good at one or two or three of them, because the concept between the three doesn't change.
Totally.
If you learn one, you can probably pick up the other. There might be a different UX UI. There might be different, a dashboard, but the concept is the same. So same thing, like all these AI tools that we're seeing, right? Same thing. You learn one of them, you can pick up the other ones if you understand the underlying technology and what to do with it, right? People freak out about AI, right? They've been freaking out about it, but people don't realize, like, one of the oldest website makers, you ever use Wix? Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, WordPress. Wix has been doing AI websites for freaking 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't get it.
Yeah.
You can just type in, hey, I want to open a nail salon. Here's my address. Here's the color. Here's the, here's this. And it generates something for you. That's AI. But totally. I'm saying being able to use those systems to your advantage. And once you learn one skill, you can trickle down and learn the other skill, right?
Yeah. You're clearly a systems-oriented guy, which is why I appreciate talking to you. Do you have advice for other people in regards to the AI world? Because you talk about this regularly, right? And do you have a course on AI as well?
I don't have a course on AI. No.
Okay, but you do talk about the tools as regularly, right?
Here's what I do. Anytime tools come out, I learn how to leverage the tools into my business. And if I can leverage them into my business, I recommend how other people can leverage them into their business. Give you a simple example. When NFTs came out, how can we digitize everything and tokenize it, through NFTs? We talked about that. Not because I wanted to make a course or sell it, because I was doing it for myself.
Totally.
Right?
Scratch
QR code. People don't realize that's kind of an NFT, a QR code. People have been using QR codes, right? And same thing with AI. Like I use ChatGPT every day. I learn how to prompt really well, right? I want to use Be Human to clone my voice so I don't have to do voiceovers, shit like that. So
that's a thing?
That's a thing. Yeah. We're working on it right now. I just have 30 or 40 videos already edited to go, like animation style videos. And I'm trying to test if I can input my 4 or 5 videos with my voice, and let's see what it shoots out and see if it's accurate. So, like, all I'm saying is I'm using it for myself. Figure out how you can use it for yourself. You have Grammarly. That's an AI tool that's been out, to fix grammar. You have Compose. You have Synthesia. You have all this shit, right? Jarvis, Otter. Yeah. Have you used Otter before?
Yeah.
So, like, shit like that. So, like, it's just a tool.
Yep.
So learn how to use a tool. Get good at, there's multiple tools for multiple things. I think one step deeper than that is learn how to learn. I think I want to pivot towards that. Learn how to learn. If you can learn how to learn, what kind of learner are you? Are you auditory learner? Are you a visual learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? You have to do it yourself, right? Go to YouTube, type in top 10 AI tools. Get a second monitor, watch the YouTube video, get the free trial, and do it. Now, you watch 2-3 videos on, let's just say you watch 3 videos on top 10 AI tools. And out of 3 different videos by 3 different people, you find 6 tools that they both talk about. Go get good at those 6 tools. Pull up a second monitor, download the free trial, watch a video on that, and do it. And now you figure out, can you implement this into your business or not? And if it helps you, use it. And if it doesn't, all right, cool. You learn how to use another platform. It's going to fade away after a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
One of the life hacks that I've used is whenever I find myself procrastinating on a task, I often find that if I just watch some sort of tutorial or video or gather some more information on it, it often encourages me to now go do it and to execute on it. Because I think a lot of times is that it reduces the friction. I think if we're not executing on something we know we should do, it's because there's friction there and there's something going on in our brain that's like, I don't know how to do it and I'm scared and what if I fuck up? But like being able to overcome that by just like learning a little bit about it kind of like opens my brain to like, oh, that's not that hard. Like I could figure this out. And it totally gets me moving in a forward direction.
2 things I'm going to mention. Very solid point. The first point on that was absolutely every single time, no matter what it is. You learn how to play chess. You learn how to draw. You want to draw an eye. You want to learn how to use certain technology. You want to learn what NFTs are. You want to learn how to trade. Go to YouTube and watch 10 videos on it. Mm-hmm. Don't do shit. Just watch 10 videos. Do 1.5 speed while you're on the treadmill, while you're, obviously not while you're driving, but while you're chilling. Instead of watching Netflix, watch 10 videos. After those 10 videos, you are proficient in the terminology. You know what you're doing. At a bird's eye view. Then the next step after that is to open it up, get the free trial, sign up, whatever, and do it. While they're walking through, play with it. Okay? If you do those 2 things, you are 50% ahead of everybody else. The second point on that is I personally don't have that problem. I never have analysis paralysis. I never get scared of because if I need to do it, I will make time to do it. And if I need it, I'll implement it. If I don't need it, I just practice something. And that goes to learning and reading. I'll give you an example. People will say, hey, instead of reading 50 books, read 1 book 50 times and perfectly implement it. I highly disagree with that. Why? Because if I can have 3 different books reiterate a certain topic, now I know 3 different people said it, I know 3 different perspectives, it's going to be embedded in my brain. I'll give you an example. Morning routine. Everyone's morning routine is different. But one thing established is have a routine. Some people work out in the morning. Some people work out in the evening. Some people meditate. Some people don't meditate. Some people, take their me time or they jump into work. Whatever it is, figure out what works for you and implement it.
So I did some research on you, obviously, before this podcast interview. So I'm glad that you brought up everything that you just talked about because it prompted me of a question I wanted to ask you when I was doing some research on you. You said the phrase just now that you don't really have the analysis paralysis. The question that I was ringing on as I was doing some research is exactly that, is why do you not seem to have this fear? I think a lot of people, I would say most people have analysis paralysis, or just feel a failure or feel fear of other people's opinions might be holding them back. I think there's a lot of things, but it's all rooted in fear in some way, shape, or form. You don't seem to have as much of that, if maybe any, I have no idea. But why? Where does that come from?
Because I feel like we are creative beings by nature, and if you don't try, the answer is always no, you're always going to fail. I'll give you an example. I want to be able to exercise all sorts of creativities. I want to not only draw my tats on myself, I want to do it for other people. Why? Because I just feel like doing it. I want to learn how to play chess, and then I might not be a grandmaster, but I want to go and whoop some ass. I want to get good at basketball. 3-4 months ago, I picked up Muay Thai. I've been going 5 days a week, since then. But the whole thing is figuring out, trying different things to figure out what you like and don't like, because we're supposed to have those experiences. If you don't try it, if you're stuck in the matrix and you're doing the same shit and you have the same schedule for 20 years, there's no growth. And if you're not growing, you're dying. My philosophy is try it, you either love it or you hate it, and then you never have to do it again. But at least you tried it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then what I also add a little bit more on top of that is try it again a few years later. Try it again. People try it once, I did that 20 years ago. Try it again. See if you like it again. I'll give you an example. I went snowboarding. First time I did it, I hated it. So I did it again 2 years later. I still hated it. But I tried it because it was cool. Yeah. And I was like, I want to push my body to the limit. People, I skydived 2 years ago. I want to skydive again.
Did you like it?
Loved it.
Did you? Okay.
Fucking loved it. Crazy story. My girl booked it for us, and she jumped with me, and we both jumped for the first time. Like, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
But yeah. So just try it. Like, whatever your mind. Like, clothing line. I want to launch a clothing line. Like, that's gonna happen. Will it happen now, this year, or next year? I don't know. But when we do it, we're gonna go hard. I want to open my own restaurant. Probably won't happen in the next 3-4 years, but it will happen one day because I just want to have a restaurant that I can go to that I said, this is my restaurant. Obviously I'm not going to do it where it's not profitable or, we shut down after a few months, but all those ventures, the same thing, like how do you break free from the analysis paralysis? You just have the discipline and determination to, finish the job you started. And if you do that, you'll finish it, and you may not like it. So just don't do it again, but finish the job.
Yeah, I feel like so much of what you're saying, just to digest a lot of this, is that the weight of learning and growing outweighs the fear of failing and not succeeding at something.
The way I say it is I read a book a week on schedule for the last 5 years, at least one book a week, sometimes 2 if I'm on Audible, right? The books I read, the YouTube videos I watch, the mentorships I attend, the conferences I go to, the people I talk to, it may not all tie into what I'm doing right now. But one day I'll be having a conversation, something I read 3 years ago will click, and someone will say something where everything will align. In business, that happens all the time. I'll give you an example. The whole healthcare thing. Most people don't even know about that story, right? If they watch our first couple episodes of the podcast, they know when they hear principles, the inner circle knows. But a normal client for the last 3-4 months won't know that, right? But today, when I had that call with the electronic medical record software, I'm talking to one of the developers, and he's just like, wait, how do you know? Are you a developer? I'm like, no. He's, how do you know this? I was like, and this is just what I did for a little bit. And so it may not, remember, at that time, like, why the fuck did I join this job? This shit sucks, But it came in handy. Same thing with the books you read. Same thing with, I think a lot of times in spirituality too, when I learn certain things in the monotheistic religions. I'll give you an example. So the monotheistic religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, right? There's another one called Zoroastrianism. Is dead now. But I read about that when I was like 12, and I was like, what is this? Like, put it away. Someone's tripping. There's 5,000 religions. No one knows who's the right one, right? But then I watched a video, and it all came back to me because I remember reading about it. And now I was able to make that synapse in my brain. I was able to make that connection. Or like there's, when Jesus died, he was 33 years old. And then when you raise in heaven as a Muslim, you're 33. Everyone's 33. And then you look at the human body, there's 33 vertebrae in your spine. Where did all these connections come from? So like the synapses would fire away. And I'm like, now I have my own, I just created a new understanding based on what I read. So
I love the snowballing effect of learning, and all the most successful people that I've had on the show, and basically mostly just study in general, whether it's Teddy Roosevelt, who's one of my biggest heroes of all time, or Bill Gates, or Mark Cuban, or whatever, they're all obsessive learners. Avid, obsessive learners all the time, all of them.
Me too.
And I think it's that snowball effect of that you start to cross-pollinate certain ideas, and they make those connections stronger, so then you actually remember them better because everything's cross-pollinating.
You hit the nail on the head. It literally snowball effect. I'll give you an example. It used to take me 2 months to finish a book. I can finish a book in 2 days. Yeah, now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I can finish a 100-page book. I just need to read for maybe 4 to 5 hours, and I'll be done. And then I'll retain it, and I'll recall it.
That's how Bill Gates is. I don't know if you ever saw that documentary.
I've seen the documentary. Freaking awesome. He's weird.
Yeah.
He does some weird shit, but his fucking passion. He carry his suitcase is like his suitcase and his
books.
books.
He's like 20 books.
Yeah.
That he carries around at all time, constantly studying.
Well, when I get hella rich and we're just, we've made it already, I just want to be able to travel and read. That's it. I want to go to all the craziest libraries and learn all the best information and just find out what the truth is.
The craziest library? Do you have a library list that you want to go
to? There is a few, let me see if I have it pulled up.
That says so much about your obsession with learning that you have a list of libraries that you want to go attend.
You know what's funny? Like, you asked all these things that I posted like a couple of days ago. There was one library. It was like in Germany. It was like a spinning library. It was like all the books are on a shelf that's like you can walk through it and you can just pull a book. It's crazy. Or you've seen like those libraries with the staircase and stuff like that. Or the biggest library in the world in Budapest.
Do you ever read fiction?
I used to. That's how I got into it. I was obsessed with reading as a kid. And it was funny because all my friends were like half thugs, half nerds. But I was the only one that dressed like a thug but fucking read a lot of books. And I was really good at school for some reason. So, yeah.
Because I recently just got into fiction, maybe about a year or so ago. Because I used to be primarily nonfiction, just like you, read a ton of books. I'm very well read in the personal development world as well. But then I found that reading more fiction books allowed my creative brain to kind of be more creative and more imaginary, and because I realized as a kid I used to be really good at formulating like the visuals of what I was learning, and I started to lose a lot of that. And so then I started reading more fiction books to kind of bring back that more creative, imaginary, like photogenic memory.
Nice.
And it's worked for sure.
What books?
Right now, I just finished Red Rising. It was recommended to me by a couple friends here. Highly recommend it. It's a 3-part trilogy series, and it's a phenomenal book. And it's honestly like reading this book for the first time, I really feel like I'm using my imaginary brain again.
Do you know the author?
I don't.
Red Rising. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, it's something that I've just recently tapped into the past year. And it's funny because like even if you study other entrepreneurs or business owners, you find that a lot of them find themselves kind of drifting back to a lot of fiction stuff and how it actually carries over into their business of just being more creative and having better ideas.
You know what's crazy? That I never had creative blocks. I would always go into flow states where I'm able to draw a lot. I like to draw and paint, sketch and paint and do dot work and draw random shit. But I would use Instagram and Pinterest and Dribbble for inspiration, but I never had like that issue, even if I didn't read a lot. And the crazy thing is, bro, I stopped listening to music for 4 or 5 years. I just started again. Yeah, I listen to music once a week, and then every other day was audiobooks.
I think it's Fridays, isn't it?
Fridays was a music day, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I picked Friday, but Friday was music day. And yeah, bro, I stopped watching movies. I just started watching movies again. And because my business partner, Sean, he's big on movies. And he gets his creative, ability from watching movies. And now with my family, with my girl and our son, we have like movie nights. And now we're like watching, we just watched The Matrix again.
Nice.
And we're like,
the
this
original?
is cool. Both of them.
Okay.
This one Reloaded. We're doing number 3, I think, tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Or Friday.
I haven't got back into the movie thing only because I think it could be really helpful and useful, but I'm like you, I'm obsessed with learning. So like whenever I do watch a movie,
Get that guilt.
Yeah. or I just gravitate towards documentaries, and then it's like
Us too.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with documentaries.
Which on that note, Netflix has been dropping some sick documentaries. Have you been seeing them? If you go to the documentary section, they're all Netflix originals, and there's some really, really good ones. Like on every topic, I'll give you an example. We just watched one called The Roman Empire.
Oh, that'd be dope.
And then there's one called Mehmed versus Vlad. So it's Vlad the Impaler versus Mehmed Osman.
Oh, damn.
And it's cool because it's the Turkish Empire and the Vlad the Impaler, what's it called? The Ukrainians. But it's the vampire story with the crazy Turks. But it's a how do you say this when they do the documentary, but it's also live action. So it's both 2 in 1.
I don't know.
I don't know, but think about what I'm saying. So it's like they shoot a video, think like Game of Thrones, where they're showing all the wars and stuff like that.
Yep.
But then there's experts coming and talk about it. It's fire.
I've seen them do that with a few like medieval times type documentary type stuff. Yeah.
So watch those, and there's like we just watched the Joy Project with the Dalai Lama, and then we watched what psychedelics do to your brain. Like there's some cool shit. There's some cool shit on Netflix. They're stepping their game up.
The Roman one sounds cool to me because I know you also are a big fan of Stoic wisdom. So that sounds.
It's about Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, I would love that.
It's fire.
I have a Marcus Aurelius quote above my bed, and it's very specific to the book Meditations.
Meditations.
Yeah, it's essentially his quote talking about like how you're like you just want to stay under the covers and like you're cold, and it's like, is that really what you're born on this planet to do, is to just like stay under the cover and be cold? He's like, no, like you're born to go out and to create and to do things. Like the birds are flying, the bees are buzzing, like go join the world and like do what you're on this planet to do, as opposed to just huddling under the sheets.
Always state of creation. That's kind of did we mention the book Create Your Frequency? So we wrote a book called Create Your Frequency, and it was about always being in the state of creation, no matter if it's creating your own life, creating a legacy, creating a business, creating art, always in a state of creation. So we believe in that, a lot. One thing I do want to mention before I forget, have you read any of Ryan Holiday's stuff?
Yes.
Fire.
Obstacle is the way, ego's the enemy.
Yep.
I haven't read his other two ones though. Stillness is the key, I think.
Stillness is key and discipline is destiny.
I haven't read
And then
those.
you got another one. Courage is a calling.
You know he's here in Austin, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Yeah, one of my buddies actually worked with him for a while as like his assistant. But yeah, he has a farm just outside Austin here. Anyways, I have a round of rapid fire questions for you. You ready?
Hit me.
It's whatever the first thing is that comes to mind. But first one is, what is your best business advice?
If you change the things you look at, the things you look at change.
That's deep. I like that. What's your favorite part about entrepreneurship?
Every day something's new. There's a new problem to solve or new venture to tackle.
What's your best marketing advice?
YouTube University.
When are you the most productive?
24/7.
I've never heard that one. That's good. Tell me one secret about you or something most people just don't know.
I love ice cream.
What kind?
Vanilla in a baked cookie with caramel drizzle.
Damn, okay. Any particular brand or it doesn't matter?
Just good vanilla ice cream. Go to Amy's.
Okay, yeah, it's a popular brand or company here. Who's your inspiration?
Many people for many things, but number one, probably my dad.
That's cool. That's good. That's huge that you have that in your life, man.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you change about yourself?
I wish I started working out earlier.
Oh, okay. That's good. When were you the happiest?
When I was able to take care of my family financially.
That's cool. What's one app or resource that you're using right now that you've just been found to be like super helpful or useful?
ChatGPT.
It's been a lot of people saying that one lately. What's your favorite part about Austin and you can't say the people?
The water.
Like the river that goes
The river or the lakes.
Oh yeah, Lake Travis.
Yeah, I'm from Houston, so we didn't have too much of that, but
Yeah, you guys got a lot of humidity, but not a lot of just open water.
yeah, open water. I love being able to go and paddleboard or something like that, you know?
I'm from Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes, bro.
Oh, it does. I've seen that. It's crazy.
We actually have closer to 15, but we're land of 10,000 for whatever reason.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's like our motto, but we have for sure like 15,000, which is odd. So I have one last question. Before I ask the question, though, I just want to acknowledge you, man, for adding so much value to the world, for following your passions, for even though you got into sticky situations with difficult partners, that you still figured out lessons to learn from those challenging situations, from writing a book, from building community, from dabbling into all sorts of things like ATMs and crypto and marketing and healthcare and apps and so many other things in between, and for showing up today as your authentic self. Appreciate that.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate you having me and setting up a platform where, you know, you've interviewed some badasses, so imagine what your brain looks like. You know?
So I love this show. I just bring on people smarter than me, and then I ask them a bunch of questions. This is my learning for me, no question. So last question, though. It's really whatever your best piece of advice is to other business or entrepreneurs out there. So like if you were to start over from ground zero of principles, like principles didn't exist, you're to start over, you're going to build this business, you're going to build this brand. What's maybe the best piece of advice you could give to yourself or even somebody else that wanted to do something similar?
Absolutely. I already got the answer. So get rid of your short-term pleasures and think long-term. And that could be for anything. That could be for putting certain foods in your body. This might taste good right now, but is it going to help me over time? Hanging out with certain people, whether it's relationships, friendships, partnerships, the things, the ventures you get into. Is this going to make me money right now, or is it going to be a headache in six months? Get rid of short-term pleasures. And this goes for all your vices. A lot of people argue with me like, oh, you know, I can smoke weed and still be productive. Yeah, but what if you didn't smoke weed and you could be hyper-productive, you know? So it's that. Get rid of short-term pleasures for long-term vision. And if you can do that early, if you learn that quickly, you're playing chess. And if you play chess, you will always be ahead of the game.
Playing chess while others are playing checkers.
Yep,
Great
just like
advice.
Kobe said.
Love that. Appreciate you, bro. Hey, friend, thanks for listening to the show. And if you have any feedback for me about the show or any other guests that you'd want to see in the show, definitely shoot me a message. I love engaging with my audience and figuring out how I can provide the best value possible to the people listening to this show. Before you go, I only have one ask of you, and that would be to check out my 3 Tips Tuesday newsletter. It's 3 marketing tips every Tuesday specifically for the health and fitness entrepreneur to help them attract new leads. If you press the link in the description, it'll take you directly to the archive of all my previous newsletters, and you can decide for yourself if it's something for you. If you end up finding it helpful, you can just sign up for the newsletter and you'll get it in your inbox every Tuesday. Thanks again, and keep hustling, my friends.